from today's episode of International Hangout.
We came and I started hearing from people like, oh, this is the biggest batch we have got ever from Nepalese. We don't even have
Has being like a female campus safety officer felt different? Because
in India, Bollywood is not the only film industry. They have like Hollywood, Tollywood, and I mean,
From internationals for the internationals, this is International Hangout.
what's up, people of CofI? This is episode 9 of International Hangout, and my name is Shushanik.
I'm Suti. Today in the studio we have Asta Shakti Suman Sharma. She's a sophomore from Nepal. She's a campus safety officer. She's also a campus safety office coordinator, and most importantly, she is the class representative of CDI for the year 2026. And also she is the secretary in CDI. And I think it's fair to say like she's one of the most involved students on campus. Yeah. How are you doing, Asta?
I am doing good.
You can, okay. You feel stressed?
Oh, I feel overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed? Actually, it's a fun fact. If you guys listen to the podcast, you might hear like there's this, voice recording in the beginning. You might hear this.
Revealing the secrets of.
And actually, she is the person who is voice casting for those two recordings. She did a great job, and thank you for that. Also, Asa is one of the people behind this podcast, one of the 3 people, including me, Sushanik. And she has been the facilitator, I would say, for the podcast, and she was the one who helped out figuring out the place to record and, everything else. Yep. Okay, we have a lot of topics to talk about, but, I would mostly focus on talking about campus safety life, since she's an officer, and the ASA and CDI parts, and we had to emphasize on her family and Nepal parts as well, and also Bollywood, which is going to be interesting. I think Sushanik's ready.
Yes. Maybe I should even start the episode this time. Well, I mean, do you know how many students from Nepal we have?
Currently, we have like 22 to 25, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, that's, I think, like, the international community mostly consists of Nepali students. And, I mean, never in my life, even though I've graduated from UWC, I've not been exposed to this much Nepali culture, which I think is very unique because, like, I like some of the food that you guys made during the food fest, for example, and, during the Chinese New Year event, I also saw some of your food, I think, or yeah. I don't know, like parts of your culture. And it's just very interesting how, like, this many Nepali students end up at the College of Idaho specifically. I've always had this question, and I think this is the perfect moment to ask. Do you have a theory?
I mean, I would say, like, it was even a shocker for us because usually what we have is, like, how I got to know about a lot of people was because of a Telegram group. We have like a Telegram for all the people who apply for visas. Mm-hmm. And through that, they would say like, oh, I got accepted for this college and stuff like that. And someone same way found me that I am also going to this campus. And I was added to a group chat and I was like, I don't even know who all these people are. But apparently everyone was coming here. When I saw all those people in the group chat, I thought probably there will be a lot of Nepali already there. When we came and I started hearing from people like, oh, this is the biggest batch we have got ever from Nepalese. We don't even have like 4 Nepalese on campus right now. And I was like, this is crazy because I was expecting a lot already and I thought we were adding more. But it was more of like it was a empty vase and we're adding like so much that it was almost filled kind of thing, if that makes any sense. So it's the college, probably they thought that it's a great idea to bring so many Nepali students. But, I mean, there's no, like, I don't know. It was weird for me as well, like seeing like so many Nepalis just from my year. because there were not many before we came here. There were like literally like 2 or 3 people in one batch, and for our it was like 25 people came at the same time.
Wow.
The same year.
So is it your year that 25 people came at the same
Our year
time?
was the biggest Nepali population coming in.
Okay, I see. Well, from our previous rabbins episode, I think I just knew this overall, like from previous knowledge, that Nepal has this like different climates, and that defines a lot of like people's lifestyle and what they do in their life. So I don't remember where Rabbi is from exactly, but I think I would ask you like where you're from, because I know that there are different kind of, do I say classes of people? I don't know if it's classes of people or regions of people.
We have like 3 different regions.
So what are the 3 different regions, and which one are you from?
I mean, this was one of the most fun thing we would study in social studies was like there's Himalayas, and hilly is the part where it's like plain and Himalaya kind of.
Climate-wise?
Climate-wise,
Okay.
like, no, landscape-wise.
Okay.
And then there's, like, Tarai, where I come from, and Tarai is mostly, like, where all the farming is mostly done. So I am from the Tarai region, which is, like, 243 feet altitude from the sea level, and which is, like, quite hot. And that is, like, you know, it's very different. Like the weather is so different because most of my life I spent in the capital, which is like in the hilly region. So it was like me changing the whole region for after a certain year of my life, and it was like very different because
You mean Kathmandu?
yeah,
You lived in Kathmandu?
yeah, I moved to Kathmandu around like 9 or 10, and had been there ever since. And yeah, like there, the weather is like moderate, we like to say it that way, but it's basically like the weather throughout the year is just okay for you to be wearing a t-shirt or like a, like a thin shirt on top of it or something like that. You don't need to wear like super warm clothes unless like it's particularly winter, and it's not too hot in summer, but like where I was born, it's like too hot in summer, too cold in winter. And those are the only 2 weathers you feel really, because there's no weather where you're like, oh, I'll just like go out with, what do you say it, like a
Light jacket.
like a jacket on top.
Yeah, wow, that's interesting. Because, I think most of the people associate Nepal with Mount Everest. Not me, actually, because
That's a cliche. Yeah.
It's a cliche, and I just want to ask, like, what is Kathmandu like, and like, does it have like a heavy tourist flow, and do people come to Kathmandu first if they want to hike to Everest or other tourist destinations? Like, is it a busy city, like population wise, and how is life there overall?
Yeah, Kathmandu is like the most populated city, I would say, and yeah, life is very like, it's always like very busy, but thankfully, which when I was there I didn't really feel it because I was like still a early teenager, and I was like, oh, my life is so boring. I'm like in a place where it's so silent, and it's not even like the city noise, even though I live in a city, because we used to live in a place which was like in Kathmandu, but still like a more silent place where it was all like better. I like to say like it was kind of like, I don't feel bad about living in Caldwell, Idaho, even though some people are like, oh, it's such a, feels like a village. But I have been living in a village despite being in a city, like a village kind of area despite being in a city. So it doesn't really feel that much change to me. So yeah, like Kathmandu is the place you would land if you were to go to Nepal, because we have our like the airport, the Tribhuvan International Airport for Nepal. That's like the main place. I think we're currently building a different one in a different city. I can't remember the name of the city, but so far it's still like TIA, like the Tribhuvan International Airport, where we would land. And obviously, even if you're going to hike Mount Everest, if you're going to Kathmandu first, you would really like to explore it and then go somewhere else. So yeah, it becomes like really populated.
How was the journey from Nepal to America? like, I mean, I would think that most of the students have a similar path because you know about College of Idaho through someone else. So I'm guessing that once you landed in America, you already met people who you knew. But it's just like, do you have any culture shock? Because do you previously attend any like international like college, or this was your first time being in this kind of circumstances?
I mean, it's the first time. Yeah, like I'm a kind of person who is really like built up with people around my life. I really feel like I pick up pieces from people and like build myself up. Like half of me is just kind of like that. I have my own theories and then I build up with people. And like my family always like for like, you know, different reasons, they were really protective of me, and I really appreciate that they were, because they were, you know, there's always things happening around. There are always like things happening around and you're like scared of things happening around, because there would be like news happening and like my grandfather would tell me like, oh, you know, that is happening or this is happening, and they just liked keeping me as secure as they could, because I don't know if I should be mentioning this really, if my family is gonna hear this, but like after my mom passed away, my grandparents become really protective of me, and they just wanted to keep me the safest that they could. And that was more of like, they kind of prohibited things, which I felt like it was prohibition. Like they would be like, don't go out with friends, or come back home by 5 in the afternoon, like, you know, which felt like, oh my God, there's many restrictions. But now I feel like they did it because they cared and stuff like that. So my life was kind of like, you know, in this bubble. And then no one was expecting me to say that I want to go to US. And I also had said, like, you know, when my friends would say like, oh, I plan to go to US, I'd be like, who wants to leave Nepal and go to US? And I never wanted to leave Nepal, especially my grandmother. I love her the most. So I didn't want to leave her by herself. Even though there are other people, I just feel like I'm the one for her, which is kind of weird to say, but like that's how I feel. And then like basically I never thought of it, but you know, around your teenage year things happen and you just like have different ideas coming up to you, and this idea came to me out of nowhere when I was attending a cybersecurity workshop in Kathmandu, and then I was like, I kind of want to do CS, and before that I was like, oh, I'll do medicine kind of person, and then CS came in my life, and then I was like, oh, and I even did entrance for one of the colleges there, but then I was like, you know what, I actually want to go out, and I said that and everyone was in shock. And like even my grandfather initially didn't show that much satisfaction, but he helped me through the whole process, and I didn't particularly select this college. I think I have 2 relatives in US. However, it was more of like just me doing things on my own. So like it was like I faced some of the cultural shocks when I came here. But one of the biggest one that I really want to mention is like people touching, what do you call it, like the books and stuff, like, you know, with their legs.
Yeah.
That was like the shocker. Like that was the first shocker.
No, it's just like when a book drops or something, you know, they have this respect towards the book. They consider it like an actual living being, and they give the respect. And they kind of like, yeah, and just, you want to explain, Asta?
Like it's like so every book is like a form of goddess Saraswati, because she's the goddess of knowledge. So books and like everything like that's pretty much everything is considered like something holy in our culture. So we don't like picking things up with our legs or like touching them with our legs. Like even if I'm like sitting next to you and I would touch you with my legs, I would go ahead and like like touch you and touch my head. Like that's the thing, because you respect the other person or other things. So like I was in one of my classes here at CofI, and like one of my teachers like touched the book, like touched her
the
notebook with her leg, and I was like for the whole minute I was just like in this whole world. I was like, what did you do? That is wrong. That is illegal. Like every word was coming in my head. And then I actually went up to her and talked to her like, hey, like when you did that, probably it's common here, but like in my culture, that's really not considered good. That was the reason I was like, for the whole second, I was not listening to you at all. Because she was like calling out my name and I was like totally in another world. So yeah, that was like the biggest shocker.
Wow, that's interesting.
Okay, since we talked about Nepal and all that stuff, do you feel like you are a Desi?
I am a Desi, and I actually like recently we did a exercise in one of my communication class, and he said like write 25 words that explains you, and I was like the first word was Desi.
Then
What is a Desi?
Desi, you wanna explain?
Desi is basically like, I mean, usually people use it as a how do you say, like a bad word to say like someone who is from who follows their culture too much and is not really like ready to be influenced by the Western culture. And like,
Is this a Nepali word?
no, it's more of like a Hindi word. So like Indians, especially who are in the villages, they like they are called like Desi, or you are such a Desi and stuff like that. I personally think that it's a very, it's a good word in my sense, because like you are following your culture, you're not letting another culture just take all over you. I mean, like I personally like pick and choose like which is the good one for me, because a lot of things have changed and I can't do everything like it was done, but I'm not going to erase it completely, right? So I personally think that I am a Desi.
Yeah, I think we have a similar concept, but
I literally thought that's the people from a subcontinent. They're being called as Desis. Like I didn't know. I mean, that's the definition at least the internet provides us. But anyways, okay. I mean, I really wanted to ask about Bollywood because I feel like you might have watched a lot of Bollywood movies. Do you think Bollywood has influenced your personality and I don't know, day-to-day life?
I feel like, as I said like earlier about like how I take bits and pieces of people to kind of build myself up, which I feel like everyone does, but like I am not afraid to say it. So like obviously I have watched so many Bollywood movies and like so many Bollywood things have influenced me. And at some point, like, when you're like when you're turning teenager, you feel like, oh, you are the main character and stuff like that. And I watched the movie Jab We Met around like later before coming here, but like when I watched it, I related the most with one character, and you're constantly relating with different characters when you're watching movies, but this one character like kind of stuck with me because I feel like I'm like her. I'm just like always around and like if I see someone sad, I can't take it.
Who was the actress?
It's Kareena Kapoor. And like she is just like so like always there, can't see a person sad, she needs to go and fix their mood kind of thing. And like it's kind of pretty much same with me. If I'm like walking to a class and I see one of my friends just like stressed in their homeworks, I would still go and like crack a joke so that they can be still like feel a little better about it or something. Like, I just want to I just like seeing people smile and stuff like that, and I want to be there for people. And then like kind of live in delusion, but like know what is right kind of thing.
So what's your favorite movie? Jab We Met? Bollywood movie.
I could say that. I love every part of that movie.
Okay. What's the worst character in Bollywood, in your opinion? Worst movie or character? I don't know. I would say like there's no such thing as worst movie, because like at least these days movies are coming so much like without a sense, which I don't really like, and I've quite stopped watching Bollywood movies. I'm actually more exploring the fact that there are like, so I don't know, like people usually just look at me as a Nepali person, but also like my as I said, like I'm from the Tarai region, and my actual language
is Maithili. And I have explored that how the Maithili film industry and like, you know, the more of like the South Indian film industry is doing way better. Because Bollywood is just repeating the same stories over and over again. Like they're just making copy universes or whatever, but that's just not making sense anymore. So I don't want to say like a worst movie, but they are not really doing good anymore.
Okay, I think, so for the listeners, if you don't know, fun fact, in India, Bollywood is not the only film industry. They have like Hollywood, Tollywood, and I mean, different woods, basically, for each, state or each region. But Bollywood is the one that's like most popular and pretty much people, it's the most popular one. And yeah.
I mean, it's also because like Hindi is their like
yes,
national
official.
language.
Hindi and English
like,
is the national
I was
language,
also
right?
I also went into Bollywood more was because of the fact like how I have a huge love for poetry and like basically like a creative art. And that was like, it was like, because Hindi was a language I knew and I didn't know other languages. And I had a hard time even learning Nepali when I was a kid because technically my first language is Maithili. So Hindi was more similar to Maithili than Nepali was. So I got attracted towards there. And then I would hear all these people like say shairis and I was just like so into it. So that was one of the reasons I also went to Bollywood more than like going to my own Nepali film industries and stuff like that. So yeah. I mean, there are movies that make me upset about like saying like, oh, I love Bollywood, and then someone gives you the example of that movie and you're like,
okay.
Well, I guess I want to change my mind for some movies.
Okay.
But I would not say like there's a worst movie.
Okay. Do you watch cricket though? Just a random question that came to my mind.
I watch like just a format that's like IPL, the Indian Premier League.
Okay.
I used to watch that. I learned mostly about cricket. I used to play when I was a kid, but then for some reasons I just stopped playing. But I still like playing it if I could. But like watching cricket makes me kind of go like, what are they doing sometimes? Because I don't understand some terminologies still. It was like...
How did you play it then?
I mean, like, playing is like, you're not saying like, oh, go do a Yorker ball. Or go do a fast ball. But like I don't know the specifics, but I know how it is played. And I watch the IPL still.
Okay.
And I realized like most of the love for IPL came because like it was during my final term. Every single time, that time of the year would be like our finals. So I would really, I would much rather go watch a cricket match instead of study, obviously.
Okay.
So
makes sense.
that was one of the things I got into it more.
Also, another fun fact for listeners, IPL is it stands for Indian Premier League, and it's one of the most profitable sports tournaments on the planet. And I don't know how many billions, but they earn a lot of money. Of course, it makes sense because of subcontinent and stuff. There's a lot of people watching it, and cricket is the second most popular sport on the planet. Okay, I think we can talk about campus safety finally. Do you think you want to talk about it, Sushani? Because since you are also a part of campus safety.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think talking about your role in campus safety would be what we can start with. Do you want to tell us what you do at campus safety?
So campus safety, I am one of the on-call officers, part-time officers, which we say in basic words. And then this year, starting of this year, like August, I was also given the position for being like the office coordinator who coordinates all the office assistants. So yeah, those are the two positions I fill in campus safety.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we all know that there are not many female campus safety officers. Has being like a female campus safety officer felt different? Because I feel like officers and and I mean any kind of like military or non-military or like police or whatever, like all this officer kind of thing, I think it's like stereotypically connected to males, like to men doing this work. And my personal experience with being in military, for example, I have felt a lot of like difference in what it is like to be in any kind of like these people who are wearing uniforms. So just want to ask, like, how was it different, or any situations where you felt like, oh, this is happening because I'm a woman officer?
I mean, obviously, like, there are things that is different when you are a male and a female officer, but like, I actually really feel good about being a female officer amongst so many male officers on campus. But like, the thing is, like, I get to serve people that sometimes male officers kind of get uncomfortable with. Like, I mean, professionally they would be good, like, but emotionally sometimes like something's happening on campus and you can be there. So I like being a female officer and like being there for people. However, sometimes obviously you feel it, and more than I feel like my department has never let me feel that way. But like, on the part of like when I'm trying to help people trying to make me feel like, oh, probably you are not fit for this position, has come to me. Like, not really often, but like sometimes it really comes really strong kind of thing, you know. Like, you're just trying to help someone and they just like out of nowhere mention this fact, like, oh, I didn't realize you were an officer. And I'm like, well, I mean, there's no sense to this question. Like, what do you mean by like saying that you don't realize that I'm an officer? I'm like, you know.
I mean, you're wearing a uniform or something?
I mean, no, like, there's no question in like them just saying that, oh, I didn't realize you were an officer, because like I do the same thing. I did the same training. I pretty much like, you know, I'm also doing the same 10-hour of my shift, and I'm also helping people. I am doing the same chores as other officers need to do, and still like people would question it. That is something that would make you feel like, oh my god, like this feels like an attack to like, you know, the difference of being a male and a female. But like from department, I haven't ever really felt that.
Now my question was mostly about like, while you're doing like your shifts or just doing service to other people, whether you felt anything like that or not, but it pretty much explains.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, yeah, people like, there are some people who just like will say it to your face without thinking. So yes, I have felt that, but I just wanted to mention the fact, like, how I appreciate the fact that my department has never let me feel that, or never really differentiated between like, oh, that job should be done by a male officer. They're more of like, oh, we want you to gain the experience because it's going to help you at some point. Like, I worked on Winterfest, and Winterfest kind of gets rough sometimes. So like, I was the one who asked, like, is it okay if I work it? And they were like, no, we actually want you to work it. We want you to take experiences and like learn things. And they like actually supported me when I thought that they would actually say like, no, it's fine, you shouldn't work it. So that was like, from the department wise, I have never felt that, but there are some people, like, there are always some people who do things, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to this stereotype that, you know, if you don't have like physical power, you can't really deal with things. But I have a feeling that there is so much more to being able to deal with things than actually having muscles. Like, that's not the only thing that you need to have to be able to solve problems. But I've been exposed to that stereotype a lot too. So it was just something that I was interested in. So we've actually talked about this, and I think for everyone at CofI, it's very useful to know that we have a lot of paperback copies of books. I personally do have a lot of books that I don't know what to do with them, because professors design books, and then the next term it may not ever be the same book used. So these books are just like in my shelf, and most probably I throw it away, or like, I don't know, I don't even know what to do with these books. They take up so much space, and I think this club is a really good club, and you're the president of it. So I think this is the time to promote it and to tell people to bring their books.
So I started Bookshelf Banter because, as you say, like, you see the name, like, banter. It was more of like people reading their own kind of books, and like not about like, oh, let's read this particular book and talk about it. It was more of like, read whatever books you want to read, and then when you want to tell about the book to someone, just come to us and tell about it. Or like, if we don't have anything to say, we'll just sit down and read books together. Because usually what I do is like, I read books and then I just go to my friends and I forcefully make them listen to me. So the whole point was like, oh, let's not do that, and let's actually talk with people who actually want to hear about books more. So that was the whole concept. But then while I was doing that, when I was here in summer, and I was also working with campus safety, I was going around different buildings just for like rounds and stuff to check everything is fine and stuff like that. While that, I found a lot of books. So, and I was collecting all the books in my room. And then I was like, oh, actually, these books will be helpful for people who are coming next year. And I posted pictures on the ISA group chat and like send it to other people that I could reach to, so that they can have a book instead of like, they don't have to pay to get the book. That was the whole point. So like, that's the project that I have been working on. So basically the thing is that, which, if you guys allow me to, like, I would like to say, promote the project, kind of like that.
You're here for it.
The project that, so if you have any books that you're like done with and like you're not going to use it anymore and can be helpful to other people, please contact me. And if you can have like somehow like make it reach to me so that I can collect it all and give it to people who actually need it later, which I kind of feel like as a CS major, I kind of get the fact like there are some books that if you have like actually paid for it, you don't want to share it with other people because you feel like you'll need it at some point, and that's fine. But like those books which you know you're not going to need it later, please share it with people instead of like just throwing it in the bin. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it
which a
can
lot
be.
of people do. So I feel bad when I see like just random books in the bin. That just hurts.
Okay, I also want to talk about ASA, Asian Students Association, and I know Asta is the treasurer in ASA. Do we have any events coming up, Asta?
Yeah, we do have an event coming up from ASA. That will be on March 11th. That is a Monday. It's going to be from 5 to 7. The event itself is Nowruz, which is like the Persian New Year kind of thing. It's kind of like Easter, which I got to know from like the meetings that I attended. And yeah, we'll be like painting canvases and stuff like that and making gifts for our friends. So I would really appreciate if people show up and we could do like, a lot of painting and gift making for our friends.
Do we have any Persian students?
Persian, I don't know actually on campus,
I
but
don't think so.
I think it's Shifa who brought it up, I guess,
Yeah.
like the event and stuff. She has celebrated it back home or something.
Okay. This was an interesting episode. No,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay, it's good to know we have events coming up. And I think we covered up the stuff we want to talk about. We talked about campus safety, we talked about Nepal, Bollywood, Asta's relation with the family, and poetry, and bookshelf banter, all that stuff. And yeah, overall, it's an interesting episode. I think also, if you guys noticed, we tried to kind of limit our, the episode time, like around 30 minutes, because I felt like from the feedback
You're
from
now
people,
listening to our episode.
from the feedback of the people we gotten, felt like, getting close to an hour is a little bit too much. But so we're going to experiment on doing this with 30 minutes, and we'll see your feedback. And yeah. And yep, thank you for this episode, Asta. The tradition is we let people say see you or goodbye or whatever they want in the end of episode in their own language. You want to say something?
Yeah, because I think we already had a Nepali say like it in Nepali. I would like to say it in Maithili. Okay, so just basically bye, see you soon means like lu chalo, baad mein milichi.
Okay, you guys heard it. Then yeah, see you in the next one. Take care.
See ya.